Good morning, my friend. So let's start today's news analysis, and I will analyze the newspaper in the shortest possible way so that you don't have to read all the news. Okay, from the Hindu paper. Okay, so let's begin. And one thing I need to mention is that and the green part which I highlighted is for mains point of view, and the yellow part which is highlighted is from the prelims point of view, and you could also use both the part in your paper. Okay, it's up to you. So now let's move on to first article is that Supreme Court will examine if governor's actions subvert federalism, and this is a very contentious issue right now, because what actually happening behind the scene, I would say that central government or what actually governor do in the, especially in the Kerala governor do not sign particular bill which is passed by the state legislature. That in that case there's a Kerala legislature. So is that constitutional right or wrong? Okay, so that is the bone of contention, and it is a very good example of federalism, how federalism works, and what is the problem with the federalism of India. So you could mention this particular case study or example in your mains answer copy. Okay, so that's all about it. Okay, and I would not go entirely about the nitty-gritty of the case and what is going on. So, and for this purpose, you could find other videos in YouTube where they discuss in holistically. So my role is not to discuss holistically, just give you brief idea, okay, about the topic, and so that in the later on from the monthly magazine or from any other sources you could cover these articles in a comprehensive way. So my role is to highlight the important news in a shortest possible way. Okay, so now let's move on to next section. Okay, there is a another very good article for the prelims point of view, that is the Olympics. And you all know that Olympics held after 4 years. Okay, and you all know that, and that 4 years divided into two sections. Okay, and what two sections? There is a summer Olympics and the winter Olympics. Every 2 years there is a summer Olympics, then after 2 years there is a winter Olympics. So this time summer Olympics was happening in Paris. So this kind of fact become important for the UPSC, because recently, as you see in 2024 paper, UPSC started to ask very factual based question. So for that reason I'm just covering it. Okay, now let's move on to next news analysis, is that Supreme Court extend on there is a very good example of judicial activism. I hope in your GS paper 2 you heard the term judicial activism or judicial overreach. Okay, and this is a perfect example where Supreme Court so is judicial activism in that particular case. And I hope you know about the Kanwar Yatra route and its issue recently and triggered in the news. Okay, so I hope you knew that. Now let's move on to next case study. Okay, and this particular news I need to highlight, and this is especially important for the 2024 mains aspirant who going to give this year mains. And these kind of case study become important in your ethical paper, that is GS 4 paper. And so I would suggest you, strongly suggest you, be prepared for this kind of case study in your paper, especially GS 4. So be prepared for it. Okay, now let's move on to the next news analysis. There's a deputy CM. So what is a deputy CM all about? Okay, is this a constitutional post? Is this a legal post? Okay, so you need to know about it. So for your kind informations, I will tell you that it's neither a constitutional post, neither a legal post. Okay, these kind of posts are created by the state government to fulfill their political aspiration. Okay, so in particular state there might be multiple deputy CM. Okay, and this much information you need to know for the UPSC prelims. Okay, so now let's move on to next news articles. There is a Agniveer schemes. Recently there is a controversy, or I would say that debate regarding the Agniveer schemes and its efficacy for the armed forces. So for that reason, and if you're in paper, especially for the mains to 2024, anything asked about the Agniveer schemes, you need to mention in the way forward section. Okay, key this, that many state government started to give quota for those who, especially 75% who out of this service. Okay, and this important fact will be help to fetch more marks in the mains paper. So I hope I'm clear. Okay, now let's move on to next news analysis. Okay, I have already read this news analysis. I have read this analysis. Nothing important for the mains, neither important for the prelims point of view. Okay, and again, this is important for the. Actually, it's a very good fact. What's the fact? There's a total sanction strength of 1114 judge. Okay, in different high court judges, and 357 are vacant. 357 are vacant. So this is important fact. You could use in your GS paper wisely. Okay, so just remember the fact. Okay, now let's move on to next news analysis. Okay, now here is a important for the Act East policy for the international relations, and it's important for the mains point of view, and actually is very important for the mains point of view. Here nothing important is given there. So for these kind of questions, Act East policy, what it is all about and how it impacted India in future or the past or the present. So these kind of questions could be covered well from the monthly magazine, be it Vision Eyes monthly magazine or any other institute monthly magazine. So here I'm not discuss exclusively or I'm not discuss holistically about the nitty-gritty about the Act policy. So you just read from the any monthly magazine, and from that you can cover it very holistically. So just I'm highlighting the important point here. Okay, so that's all for it. So now let's move on to next news analysis. That is a okay, defamation case, not important. It is a opinion based questions. I will not find anything relevant for the UPSC. Okay, and there is another good agreement. There's an India-US signed agreement to protect cultural heritage. Okay, and you have recently seen that India-US relationships particularly is grown tremendously. Okay, so and in terms of especially defense relations. Okay, so another dimensions in the India-US relationship is added to the cultural program. So under this agreement, what will happen is that if any artifacts is stolen from India and is deported to USA, then Indian government can claim that artifact and bring back to the article to the in the Indian soil. So under this agreement it happened, and vice versa also is true. So okay, so this is the okay, simple facts for the your UPSC mains. Okay, and there is another very good prelims oriented fact is that 43 UNESCO World Heritage Site added, and this is the name of it. Okay, and it is belong to the Ahom dynasty. And there's a very good important point is that it is the first cultural category for the northeastern state, not only Assam but also the northeastern state. And there is a other two things which is natural category. Okay, very careful about it. This is the natural category, that is the Kaziranga National Park and the Manas National Park. These are to the natural category, and these particular is from the cultural category. So there is a 43 property from India to be included in the prestigious index. So okay, so I hope it clear. Okay, now let's move on to next news analysis. Okay, here you could mention this data from to your mains answer copy, because what it does actually in this particular platform, it store all the information related to student, teachers. Okay, and use it in different way. So that is why it is important in for example, if any question asked in UPSC mains and related to okay, just tell me how digital literacy or digital India help grow India faster or better. So in this kind of scenario you could use these mentions. Okay, for example, if you use the pastel okay, if you use the pastel framework and use the education sector, then you could mention this as case study, so in order to get the better marks. Okay, now another very important for the prelims point of view is that, and in recent times UPSC focus on the Supreme Court verdict or cases. Okay, for example, justice case, Putswamy case is related to fundamental rights. You should know that. Okay, at the same time you should also know that the fact that there's a three-part test. Okay, what is a three-part test? And three-part test is for the fundamental rights. So you also know that fact. Okay, so just remember the fact or write it down to your note, so that in the later in the future when you need to revise it, you could revise in a shortest possible way. I would say that in a 10 minutes you could revise today's news analysis. Okay, and it will be very helpful in the long run. Okay, now let's move on to next section. Okay, now let's move on to next news analysis. Fiscal federalism is a typical question. Okay, every year this kind of question asked in UPSC or related to this question asked. Okay, so just careful and to try to cover this particular news from the Vision IAS monthly magazine or any monthly magazine. Okay, fiscal federalism, and you will, I'm sure you will get a lot of information from those materials. Okay, now let's move on to next section. Not important, not important, not important, not important, not important from the mains neither prelims point of view. Not important, not important. Yeah, this is the very important fact for the prelims, because tax to GDP ratio of India is now 18%. Cumulative means center is 12%. Okay, center is 12% and state is actually 6%. So it's important for your prelims as well as the mains point of view. Okay, now let's move on to next section. Now let's move to the next section. These are not important. These are not important. Is a news and transition. These are news and transition. So if I make note out of it, it will not help you in the long run. So I just skip this news. Okay, these are, I skip this news. Skip this news. Not important. Okay, this is also news and transitions. News and transitions. News and transitions. Not important. Okay. Recently what happened, as you all know that summer Olympics is hosted by French this time, but this time what happened in France, no? There is a group of people who try to sabotage the Paris Olympics, and according to Israeli intelligence, they are the people who belong to Iran. Okay, and they try to attack the Israeli athlete who participate in the Olympics games. So according to the Israeli intelligence or Israeli news agencies, so that is the event. Okay, so nothing important, but you just need to know about it. Nothing important in the mains or other prelims point of view. Okay, another important, not important, not important. Okay, here is an opinion. If you need to if you like to read this article, you could read it. Nothing important. Okay, just you need to one important fact is there. There are 32 member nation in the NATO bloc. Okay, and this important for the your prelims point of view. In the NATO, there are 32 member states. Okay, okay, now let's move on to next section. Okay, this is not important. It is not important. It is not important. Not important. Okay, not important, not important, not important. Okay, and sports section is not important. Okay, now I'm done with the newspaper analysis. So for your benefit, I'm here include few questions which is important for the prelims point of view, and I hope you know the term, and if you know it's good enough. If you don't know, it's no worry, I would mention the term. Okay, so first term is dementia. So what is dementia all about? Okay, it's recently very news in the news. It's okay, so what is it? Dementia. So dementia is related to neurodegenerative disorder which were prevalent in the old generations. So okay, so and it includes the many disease. For example, hypertension. Okay, hypertension also include cognitive disorder also included in this category. So dementia is related to neurodegenerative disorder and is prevalent for the older age. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Is that you just you need to tell me that when India sent first official contingent at the Olympics. Okay, and the answer is in 1920. Okay, and just remember this fact, it will help you in the long run. Okay, another question is that who is called the father of Indian unrest? There is a Tilak. Okay, and PM Awas Yojana, you need to tell me that PM Awas Yojana belongs to central sector schemes or central sponsored schemes. You just need to tell me. Okay, so the pause for a second. Okay, and the answer is central sector, not, it's a central sponsored. Okay, so state government have the responsibility to identify the houses and also the geotag those houses which is identified by the central government. Okay, so this is this PM Awas Yojana is very important. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you like my video, and if you enjoy my video, let me know. Okay, and please show your suggestions that what else you need from me, I would include in my video in order to help you better. and subscribe this channel for more informations. Okay, because I try to upload in daily basis. I try because there are some certain issues with myself and my iPad, that's why I'm not able to record video on a daily basis, but I will try. Very soon this problem will be solved. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the video. So let's stop for today. Okay, thank you.